In step 1, you consider the logical order in which you are going to introduce your course learning outcomes so that you could help scaffold student learning. In step 2, you organised your course into modules or units based on specific topics or themes or projects that you would be introducing throughout the semester. And now in step 3, you're going to begin writing module level outcomes, and you can start by working only on one of your course learning outcomes. You'll remember that modules are based on themes or projects, and depending on the complexity, the module might then take only 1 week or it might span several. But as you're planning the module, you can use each row in this template to represent 1 week. Here is an example from one of my courses where you can see that I have listed 7 course learning outcomes that broadly describe what the students will know and be able to do by the end of the course. And now I want to organise these into modules and break them down even further to give more detail on what I mean specifically by each of these learning outcomes. So here I have taken an example, and it is learning outcome number 3, where I ask students to describe the cardiovascular system and use the application of this knowledge to evaluate physiological scenarios. So you can see in the first column, I list this as module 3 because there are 2 modules that come beforehand. The topic is the cardiovascular system, and of course the module overview or the description is what I just said about this particular learning outcome. But now I want to think about what precisely do I mean by describe the cardiovascular system and apply that knowledge to evaluate physiological scenarios. So I think more particularly about how the students will be able to show me that they are able to meet this learning outcome. So I've broken it down here, beginning at low-level information, where the students are asked to be able to list and describe components, and then I work my way throughout the module, increasing the level of knowledge with each of these module learning outcomes, building on the ones that come before, and eventually I ask the students to evaluate clinical case scenarios and suggest a treatment. For my own information, I noted in parenthesis what level of blooms I was addressing for each of these module learning outcomes. And I do that so that it reminds me to make my assessment appropriate to the level at which the students were taught and practice this. Now, you don't need to do that. You don't need to use Bloom's taxonomy. You may decide to use a different taxonomy. And some of your module learning outcomes may only be based on the lower levels of the cognitive taxonomies, and some may be more focused on higher order thinking skills. So it's entirely up to you whether you find this a useful thing to do. I did say, however, that each of the rows in this template should represent 1 week. So I showed that I was going to be giving 6 module learning outcomes that together would show me that the students had met the course level learning outcome. So I have split these now between 2 weeks, and I approach the first 3 in the first week and the second 3 in the second week.